The 2017 Justice League movie arrived as one of the most anticipated superhero team-up films following the massive success of The Avengers, and it was originally intended to carry forward the dark, mythic tone of Zack Snyder's vision. However, after the controversial reception of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice and the heartbreaking personal tragedy that led Snyder to step away, studio executives grew wary of doubling down on his approach. The final product, heavily reworked, deviated sharply from the previous two installments, leaning into a lighter, quippier style that clashed with the established narrative and left several story threads unresolved. Instead of feeling like a natural continuation of Snyder's saga, it came across as a tonal patchwork, at best resembling a hybrid of Marvel's The Avengers with its comedic team dynamics and the animated Justice League War with its action-driven spectacle. And although Justice League may have divided audiences, it's filled with some truly fascinating wealth of behind-the-scenes drama, shocking production twists, and hidden secrets that many fans never noticed, from the infamous CGI mishaps to studio interference and storylines cut short. So grab your popcorn and get ready for a crazy ride in this deep dive. And without further ado, let's dive in. While making the movie, director Zack Snyder and his wife Deborah, who was also a producer, had to leave the project after their daughter tragically died of suicide in March 2017. They initially tried to stay involved to cope with the grief, but after 2 months they chose to step away to focus on their family. Joss Whedon, who had signed on for Batgirl and was known for directing the first two Avengers movies, stepped in to finish the film, handling new scenes and edits. Warner Brothers promised that Whedon would stick to Snyder's style to keep the tone consistent. However, Whedon controversially fired Snyder's composer, Tom Holkenborg, and replaced him with Danny Elfman, who had worked with Whedon before on Avengers: Age of Ultron. The film also went through expensive reshoots in London and Los Angeles, costing around $25 million. During this time, Henry Cavill was filming Mission Impossible: Fallout and had a contractually required mustache. Since Paramount wouldn't let him shave it, the filmmakers of Justice League had to digitally erase it for Superman's scenes. But the rushed results looked unnatural and were widely criticized. Though Joss Whedon reshot a majority of the film and largely changed it from its originally intended tone, Zack Snyder remained the only credited director. Despite that, he never saw Whedon's version, and according to Deborah Snyder and Christopher Nolan, they advised him not to, as it would break his heart. Screenwriter Chris Terrio referred to Joss Whedon's work on the film as an act of vandalism. He also claimed that Snyder felt the same way, but was too much of a gentleman to say so publicly. Terrio was so upset by Whedon's edits to the film that he wanted his name removed from the final product. Cinematographer Fabian Wagner estimated that only 10% of Zack Snyder's original footage ended up in the original theatrical cut. This explains why the reshoots came in at around $25 million, roughly 3 times the amount reshoots usually cost. But despite reshooting a large portion of the film, Whedon never attended any of its promotional campaigns, and neither did Snyder. As a result, the responsibility of promoting the film fell entirely on the cast, who appeared in interviews, red carpet events, and fan conventions to support the movie. Some of the changes that Whedon made to Snyder's version included the opening scene in which actor Holt McCallany played a burglar. The scene was originally meant to be humorous, but Warner Brothers re-edited it to feel more serious. Afterwards, Whedon sent McCallany a bottle of his favorite champagne and a heartfelt note saying, "To battles lost," which McCallany appreciated so much he had it framed. Additionally, Snyder and Ray Fisher both stated that Cyborg was going to be the heart of this film. However, when Whedon was hired for reshoots, most of Cyborg's scenes were cut and Superman became the center of the story. Furthermore, Gal Gadot refused to shoot a sexualized scene where the Flash accidentally lands on top of Wonder Woman, face first on her breasts after saving her from falling debris. Whedon used a body double for the scene, which is why her face is not visible. The scene eventually was not included in Snyder's cut. Also, Whedon allegedly took some close-ups of Gadot's buttocks without her consent, which were also removed from Snyder's later cut of the film. Other aspects that were removed by Whedon include actor Ray Porter, who was originally cast to play the powerful villain Darkseid and had filmed several scenes for Snyder's version. However, all of Porter's footage was removed in the theatrical cut. The only hint of Darkseid's existence is when Steppenwolf says,
"For Darkseid,"
while commanding his army of parademons. Fans never actually saw the character on screen until Zack Snyder's Justice League was released in 2021, where Darkseid appears in full. Another major scene that was cut by Whedon but restored in the Snyder Cut is when the Flash runs faster than the speed of light to reverse time and save the world from destruction. Executives reportedly felt the Flash time reversal scene was too out there and didn't align with the lighter, more comedic tone Whedon was crafting. They also feared it would confuse audiences or overshadow other characters' contributions. Whedon's version replaced the scene with a more generic moment where Flash pushes a truck with the Russian family to safety. This drastically reduced his impact in the climax and stripped away the emotional weight and grandeur Snyder had intended. All of the scenes with the Russian family were shot by Whedon, and Snyder, apparently having never seen the theatrical cut, responded, "What Russian family?" when asked about the subplot on Vero. The removal of Snyder's original climactic scene was widely criticized, especially after the Snyder Cut restored it in 2021, and fans praised it as one of the most powerful moments in the film, highlighting Flash's heroism and the emotional stakes of the final battle. In June 2020, Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg, publicly accused director Joss Whedon of being gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable toward him and other cast members during reshoots. Fisher also claimed that Whedon had digitally lightened an actor's skin tone, though it was later clarified that the difference came from Whedon shooting on video while Zack Snyder used film. Fisher further alleged that DC Films chairman Jeff Johns and producer John Berg defended Whedon despite crew complaints. Tensions escalated when Fisher clashed with Warner Brothers' new chairman, Walter Hamada, which led to his planned solo Cyborg movie being indefinitely shelved and his character being removed from The Flash. The controversy didn't stop with Fisher, as other actors, including Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa, also spoke out against Whedon's behavior. And former cast members from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, like Charisma Carpenter and Michelle Trachtenberg, shared similar stories of mistreatment. The growing backlash and negative publicity surrounding Whedon's alleged bullying and misconduct ultimately killed off his career. The movie went through several director considerations before Zack Snyder eventually took the helm. Back in 2007, Jason Reitman was the original choice, but he declined, explaining that he saw himself as an independent filmmaker and didn't want to get involved with big-budget superhero projects. The studio also considered Lily and Lana Wachowski, known for The Matrix, as potential directors, but they didn't sign on. In October 2007, director George Miller had fully cast a Justice League movie that was set to feature a fresh lineup of actors in iconic superhero roles, with DJ Catrona as Superman, Armie Hammer as Batman, model Megan Gale as Wonder Woman, rapper Common as Jon Stewart's Green Lantern, Adam Brody as The Flash, Santiago Cabrera as Aquaman, Hugh Keys-Byrne as the Martian Manhunter, Teresa Palmer as Talia al Ghul, and Jay Baruchel as the villain Maxwell Lord. The project was moving forward with production plans, but despite the full cast being in place, the film was unexpectedly shelved. Reasons included budget concerns, script rewrites, and complications from the 2007 to 2008 Writers Guild of America strike. Eventually, Miller went on to make Mad Max Fury Road. Ben Affleck was also another candidate, and although he didn't direct Justice League, he was later expected to write, direct, and star in a solo Batman film after its release. However, the film's troubled production, marked by creative clashes, reshoots, and personal strain, left Affleck disillusioned with the role. The stress contributed to his brief relapse into alcoholism, and he ultimately abandoned plans for the Batman movie. Years later, he returned for a short cameo as Bruce Wayne and Batman in The Flash, but it was only a brief appearance, marking the quiet end of his journey as the Caped Crusader. In the opening scene set in Gotham City, there's a subtle Easter egg for fans, a building with the word Janus written on it. This is a reference to Janus Cosmetics, a company in the DC universe that's secretly run by the villain Black Mask, one of Batman's enemies. Black Mask is known for being a ruthless crime boss with a skull-like mask and a violent streak. While he doesn't appear in Justice League, this visual nod connects the film to the wider DC world. The character later shows up in Birds of Prey, played by Ewan McGregor, where he serves as the main antagonist. In one scene, Alfred makes a witty remark to Bruce Wayne saying,
One misses the days when one's biggest concerns were exploding wind-up penguins.
This line is more than just a joke, it's a clever reference to Batman Returns, where Michael Keaton's Batman battles the Penguin, who uses actual penguins strapped with explosive rockets in a bizarre plan to attack Gotham City. Alfred's comment here blends nostalgia with humor, poking fun at how the threats in earlier superhero movies were sometimes quirky or over the top, compared to the darker, more serious challenges the heroes face in Justice League. Wonder Woman's first appearance in the movie is visually symbolic, as she's shown standing on top of a statue of a goddess that represents justice. The statue is of Themis, a figure from Greek mythology known for fairness, law, and order. The Romans called her Justitia, and today she's more commonly recognized as Lady Justice, often depicted with a blindfold, scales, and a sword to show impartiality and balance. This choice of setting isn't random. It reflects Wonder Woman's role as a protector of truth and justice, linking her character to the deeper ideals of fairness and moral strength right from the start of the film. Ironically, that's the same statue that the character V exploded in V for Vendetta. In the film, Billy Crudup plays Henry Allen, the father of Barry Allen. Interestingly, Crudup has a long history with DC-related projects. He was once a top contender to play Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins, but the role ultimately went to Christian Bale. Years later, Crudup did get to play a major DC Comics character when he portrayed Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen, which was also directed by Snyder. The movie was originally planned as a two-part epic titled Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2, with a single continuous storyline that would unfold across both films. This approach was meant to give the story more room to develop and explore deeper character arcs and larger threats. However, as production moved forward, the idea of splitting the movie into two parts was quietly dropped without any official announcement. By the time filming began, the studio had shifted focus to completing just one standalone film, leaving the second part and the broader narrative it was supposed to continue unrealized. This change contributed to the feeling that the final theatrical version was rushed and missing key elements that had been a part of the original vision. At the start of the movie, there's a clever detail in the form of a newspaper headline suggesting that some beings may have returned to their alien worlds, a poetic way of referencing the deaths of two legendary artists, David Bowie and Prince. Both were known for their unique, otherworldly personas and massive influence on global pop culture. Bowie, often seen as a cosmic figure thanks to his Ziggy Stardust persona, once wrote a song called The Supermen, which fits the superhero theme. Prince, equally iconic, famously composed the entire soundtrack for Tim Burton's Batman, blending his musical style with the dark, stylish tone of the film. The movie was released on November 17, 2017, a date that holds special meaning for DC. It marked the 25th anniversary of the famous comic The Death of Superman, which originally came out on November 17, 1992, and shocked readers by killing off one of the most iconic superheroes in a dramatic battle with Doomsday. It was also the 16th anniversary of the animated series Justice League, which premiered its first episode on the same date, but in 2001, and became a beloved show that introduced many fans to the team dynamic of DC's greatest heroes. By releasing the film on this day, Warner Bros. Created a symbolic link to two major milestones in Superman and Justice League history, blending nostalgia with the launch of their live-action team-up movie. In the comics, the Mother Boxes, those powerful cube-shaped devices used by Steppenwolf and Cyborg, aren't just machines. They're actually alive in a unique way. Created by the new gods, these devices have consciousness and emotions, meaning they can feel pain, suffer damage, and even die, much like a living being. They form deep bonds with their users, often responding to thoughts and emotions, and can heal, teleport, or manipulate energy. So when a mother box is harmed or destroyed, it's not just a piece of tech breaking, it's more like a living entity being wounded or killed, which adds a deeper mythological layer to their role in the story. According to Zack Snyder, the idea of Superman battling the Justice League actually came from actor Leonardo DiCaprio. When Snyder was developing Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, he met with DiCaprio to discuss the possibility of him playing the role of Lex Luthor. Although DiCaprio ultimately didn't take the part, which later went to Jesse Eisenberg, he offered creative input during their conversation. It was during this meeting that DiCaprio suggested the intriguing concept of Superman fighting the Justice League, planting the seed for a major plot point that would later become a centerpiece in the movie. In 2011, screenwriter Will Beall drafted an ambitious version of a Justice League movie that featured Darkseid as the main villain and included some bold story choices, like Batman and Wonder Woman having a child, and Barry Allen traveling back in time to warn the team about Darkseid's invasion, only to die in the arms of his younger self. This early script was never produced, but it showed how epic and emotionally intense the story could have been. Interestingly, Ben Affleck was considered to direct this version, years before he officially joined the DC universe as Batman. Although Beal's script didn't make it to the screen, he later wrote Aquaman, which became a major hit, and earned a story credit for Zack Snyder's Justice League, showing that his ideas still helped shape the direction of DC's cinematic universe. The post-credit scene where Lex Luthor meets Deathstroke and hints at forming a league of their own was actually filmed on Zack Snyder's personal yacht. This scene, which teases future conflicts and villain alliances, was added late in production and shot outside the usual studio environment. Snyder used his own yacht to create the luxurious setting for Luthor's escape and meeting, giving the scene a sleek, high-end feel while also showcasing his hands-on approach to filmmaking. This movie shares several noticeable similarities with Marvel's The Avengers, especially in its overall structure and key story elements. Both films feature a villain, Loki in Avengers and Steppenwolf in Justice League, who acts as a messenger or servant for a much greater cosmic threat, Thanos and Darkseid respectively. The central plot in each movie revolves around a powerful, cube-shaped object with immense energy. The Tesseract in Avengers and the Mother Boxes in Justice League, which serve as the story's main MacGuffin or plot device. And obviously both films bring together a group of iconic superheroes, the Avengers and the Justice League, who must overcome their differences and unite to protect Earth from an alien invasion. And that wraps up this deep dive into 2017's Justice League. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden secrets, callbacks, and behind-the-scenes details in this video, make sure to smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe so you don't miss future dives into the DC universe and beyond, and share this video with your friends so they can join in on the fun too. Until next time, thanks for watching, stay sharp, and we'll see you in the next one.